Deep down, we all know it. Cooper Kupp is still the wide receiver one on the Rams. These are the 5 players that you cannot pick in fantasy football. They're going to ruin your team, and all of them are within the first 4 to 5 rounds. 4 of them are in the first 2 rounds, so these mean a lot for the rest of your draft. First up, the one I feel least strong about is going to be Puka Nacua, going at pick 9 as the wide receiver 6. I'm not as high, obviously, because I think Cooper Kupp was dealing with a ton of injuries last year. Now, Sean McVay actually came out and said this. He obviously came off the season-ending ankle injury, which slowed everything down. Then he pulled his hamstring in training camp and was never fully healthy. Then he rolled his ankle during the season. All of these times when he wasn't playing or when he was banged up, Puka Nacua took full advantage. And you could even see in the playoff game especially, they were using him super close to the line of scrimmage, expecting basically nothing from Cooper Kupp outside of blocking. They were really hobbled. But literally yesterday, McVay said Cooper Kupp is 100% ready to go. And it's not that I don't like Puka, it's just this is a little too high if Cooper Kupp is going to be that guy again. I said this in a previous video, I still could see 1,200, 1,300 yards for Puka, which is fine and maybe even draftable at pick 9. Honestly, I wouldn't mind it too much, but I just think that all-out elite upside that Cooper Kupp had 2 years ago of almost 2,000 yards is not quite there for Puka. The main thing I don't like is that he's going right above A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson, 2 guys I prefer straight up over him, so I'm always drafting them. Second is the wide receiver 10, pick 14. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's Drake London. Now, I'm a little skeptical about Drake London's skill set. It's very similar to what Garrett Wilson's going through right now in terms of situation. A quarterback off an Achilles, coming back, gets a quarterback upgrade from what he had to deal with last year, should be more pass heavy, but I just think that Garrett Wilson is so much more talented, to be honest. I would be really impressed if Drake London, as that bigger type of possession receiver, ever reaches that like Mike Evans status. I think he's a tier below that, which is why I just don't see him quite getting the numbers that I would need drafting him at pick 14. There's guys going later that I straight up prefer over him, such as Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Jalen Waddle. All those guys are at least equal with him, and they're going 6 picks later. This offense will get more pass heavy, but Kyle Pitts is still there, and he's going to be less injured than he was last year. He's another guy who is not 100% at all. He came off that knee surgery and didn't look like the same guy. He should be better again this year. Now Bijan gets a bigger role as well. Third is going to be Sam Laporta, and he's just going way too high. He's the tight end 1 at pick 30. It's too high to get a guy who was so reliant on touchdowns and efficiency last year. We see this pretty often. A guy that I can think of a couple years ago was Dawson Knox. Now, obviously, Dawson is not nearly the guy that Laporta is at tight end. Laporta is like a mini George Kittle, does everything, very talented all around, but I don't think he's quite the athlete that Kittle is. To be honest, the main thing is I'd rather draft Kelsey 8 picks later. I'd rather draft Mark Andrews 22 picks later. Even McBride and Kincaid around 15 to 25 picks later, I don't mind. And especially a guy like Kittle, like 40 picks later, yeah, give me Kittle all day. I could see Laporta finishing as the, tight end 6 or better, but the problem is he just doesn't separate enough to justify like a 40 pick difference between him and Kittle. For example, Kittle last year averaged 12.7 points per game, Andrews 13.5, Ingram 13.5, Laporta was at 14.1. I'm not paying that much more for 1 to 2 extra points per game, and honestly, like Kittle could have a much better year this year. Number 4 on this list, the wide receiver 25 at pick 36 is Zay Flowers. I pretty much do this every single year with Lamar Jackson. His receivers like Bateman, Hollywood Brown, now Zay Flowers always get overpriced at like 4th, 5th round range, when guys, it's Mark Andrews time and that's it. Lamar does not throw enough to support 2 great options. There will be some weeks where Flowers has his games, does really well, but I just don't think it's going to be nearly consistent enough. He's basically a guy who either gets only screens or only like 50-yard deep balls. There's nothing in between. They don't scheme him those nice touches besides screens. In this range, I much prefer a guy like Tank Dell, or you pivot to a quarterback like Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Travis Kelce at tight end. I just don't draft this guy in this range. This Ravens offense, especially with Derrick Henry, is now going to be more run heavy than ever, and Lamar always thrives off raw efficiency. You're never going to see him throw 40 plus times in a game unless it's like the Chiefs in the playoffs where they're down immediately, but in the regular season with this defense, very tough to put Lamar in shootout mode. I don't think he'll be in it very often. Now, that brings us to pick number 1, my worst pick on the draft board, the wide receiver 11, pick 17, Chris Olave. Last year averaged 14 points a game. What's different? What's getting better? Another year, I guess? Like, is he going to transform that much in year 3 as a wide receiver? I don't really think so. Derek Carr, not a good quarterback for fantasy. Obviously, Devontae had his good season, 2 years ago, but that's Devontae. I love Devontae. It's all him. didn't see Derek Carr support him enough. Honestly, Chris Olave's best game was the second half of the game where Derek Carr got hurt and Jameis Winston came in. He literally had, I believe, either 4 yards or 0 yards and finished the game with like about 90 or 100. Like Jameis completely flipped that game on its head and just aired it out. Derek Carr was just a check down machine last year. That's why Kamara had games of like 17 receptions, just because Olave's not going to get that work with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is becoming kind of a shell of himself, and this offense is a bottom 5 one in the league. You look at the totals for this year, the win totals, the point totals. I don't really want much to do with the Saints. I don't even love Kamara, but where he's going, I'm okay with it just because you'll get raw points off his receptions. But Kamara, the days of him scoring 16 to 20 touchdowns are over. What is the upside with Olave here? If he scores, he's kind of in DJ Moore purgatory from a couple years ago, where if he scores over 4 touchdowns, you can't believe it. You know, it's so shocking to you. Sure, he'll get us 1,000 yards, but at this point, guys, 30 to 35 wide receivers and tight ends a year get 1,000 receiving yards. I'm out on Olave. Those are the 5 worst picks at this moment. I'm going to update it every couple weeks. Next video, I'll probably give you the 5 best picks. So drop a comment what you want to see. Leave a like, follow, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.